Over the last few weeks, we've laid out the architecture of the modern informational battlefield. We started with the AI mirage and the Soviet erase. This identified how the truth is actively airbrushed by the people who control the machines. Then we moved inward. We dismantled the arrogance of 2026 and examined the ancient autonomy of the Roman mob, which still exists in a lot of forms today, proving that our high speed technology has not cured our ancient tribal flaws. If you want to watch any of those videos, please make sure you subscribe. Go back in the video library over the last few weeks. This has been our series on technology, the use of technology, the history of technology, and where do we go from here? And this is going to continue today. We have firmly established that the delivery systems change, okay, but the human animal still remains exactly the same. Today we have to look at more of the internal failure. We have to talk about the way we have been trained to think. And I am guilty of this too as a former teacher. Okay? There is a phrase that has become a default response in our culture when someone asks a complex question. People say, just Google it. Welcome to Veterans Perspectives. My name is Jeff, your author of the newsletter, also called Veteran Perspectives. I will link the article, the Just Google It Fallacy, that we are discussing today down below in the description. Please make sure you subscribe to both the YouTube channel and the Substack. That would be greatly appreciated. So just Google it. This phrase is the ultimate expression of the fallacy that defines our era, and it's cross-generational. Okay, it's cross-generational. I know we live in a world where we want to blame boomers for things, and then Gen X, and blame the millennials, then Gen Z, now Gen Alpha, Gen Beta is being born now. I think they're a couple years old now. We want to blame each other. We're all at fault here. This is a cross generational phase. Okay. So we have to realize that we're all part of this. All right. Regardless of what generation you fall under. Speaking of that, let me know what generation you fall under down below in the comments. I was born in 1981, so they say I'm a millennial, but I identify so much with Gen X. I know there's a sub generation called an Xennial, so I'm gonna go with that one. I'm gonna go with that one. I share traits of both, I guess. This phrase, just Google it, it assumes that having a world-class library in your pocket, your your phone, right, makes you an educated person. We talked about this last time. We talked about this when we talked about the arrogance of 2026. It assumes that a search engine result is the same thing as the truth. And we all know that that is not always the case. Remember, when we search something, it gives you access to other things that may have the correct information. Okay. Most dangerously, it assumes that isolated data points stripped of their historical and logical context have any value at all. As a veteran, as someone who's been out in the field, who's been in combat, I know that an isolated coordinate is useless. It's completely useless. Okay. If I give you a 6-digit grid, but I do not tell you the datum, the map scale, the enemy situation, those numbers are just white noise. Like, they're just noise. They're just there. Okay. Like, cool, I know where that is, but what is happening there? And better yet, why is it happening? Okay. You cannot navigate with a single point. You need a system, you need a map. Okay. The just Google it fallacy has tricked us into believing we have the map, when all we really have is a handful of disconnected coordinates provided by an algorithm with an agenda. Now, when I used to teach students how to research, I said, hey, let's go to Google. Let's type in what it is we're looking for. But then I follow that up with, let's look at some of these sources and evaluate those sources for reliability. That's continuing, that's opening the map and reading it. Just Googling it. Now, when we Google stuff, okay, it gives you an AI summary. And this is very dangerous because that AI summary is just a summary of what it finds on the internet. That does not make it true. It does not make it right. It is devoid of context. Okay, especially if you're just Googling it, you're not giving Google context. Very, very rarely does that happen. Okay, these disconnected coordinates can be very dangerous when we're looking for the truth. This creates what I call the illusion of expertise. Okay, the internet has created a world of shallow experts. Now, some people take what they're Googling and actually analyze the sources and pull information from those reliable sources, figure out if the sources are credible and reliable, use them, okay, and then create something out of that or write a paper, whatever it is they're looking to do. Most people do not. They go, oh, well, I Googled it. Well, AI told me this. Okay, what are their sources? Because we can find the answer to any factual question in less than 5 seconds. We have stopped doing the heavy lifting of actually learning how things work. We have replaced the hard work of building a knowledge base with the convenience of retrieving information on demand. Okay? There's a fundamental difference between knowing a fact and understanding a concept. I can know when the Civil War took place, but why? How? Who? Under what pretenses? Under what context? Okay. If you ask a search engine, for example, and I'll use the example I used in the newsletter, which came out a couple weeks ago, when did the Roman Republic fall? It will give you a date. You can memorize that date. You can repeat it at a dinner party. Maybe it'll show up on Jeopardy one day. You can feel smart, but do you actually know anything? Do you know why it fell? Do you know that a singular year is dead wrong as an answer to that question? Unless you understand the economic collapse of the veteran farmer, the dismantling of the unwritten rules by the Gracchi, and the psychological shift from citizen to mob member, that date or series of dates is completely meaningless. Like, oh, did you know the Roman Republic fell in blah 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 year? Someone asks why, you're going to be stuck. It's a data point without a narrative. It's a coordinate without a map. The just Google it fallacy tells you the date is enough because that's what you asked for. It's not the algorithm's fault. It's your fault. It tells you that as long as you can find the answer, you do not need to possess the knowledge. This makes you entirely dependent on the oracle of the internet, or in this case, the oracle of the Googles. Okay? If the oracle decides to change the date, or if the oracle decides to airbrush the reasons why the Republic fell, you have zero internal defense. You have no base map to check the new data against. Well, wait a minute. 2 years ago, you told me this date. Now it's this date. What changed? And who changed what? That's what you should be asking. This is what creates an algorithmic gatekeeper. When you just Google it, you're not assessing a neutral repository of human knowledge. You're accessing a filtered, curated, and prioritized list of informations designed by a corporation. Google's a corporation. The algorithm does not prioritize the truth. It prioritizes relevance, relevant responses, which is often just a polite word for what do you want to see now? Not necessarily what is right, but what does this person want to see right now? The algorithm, again, this idea of knowledge versus truth. You can know that one thing, and that's great. But why that one thing? What is that one thing? What's the story behind that one thing? So using what you're looking for to then build upon. Okay? In 2026, those filters, relevance filters, are more aggressive than ever. Search results are heavily influenced by social media trends, which could be a huge problem, corporate interests, which is an even bigger problem, and political pressures, which is the biggest problem of all. So, social media trends, corporate interests, and political pressures are all influencing the knowledge you are seeking when you just Google it. If you search for a controversial historical event, the first 10 results will not be primary sources. They will not be. In fact, you'll find someone's opinion about that controversial historical event before you find the facts about that event. And students, I'm looking at you right now. Odds are you're clicking on one of the first 5 results and using that as a source on your paper, and that is a problem. And teachers, now I'm looking at you. You know your kids are doing it. You have to teach them how to research. Parents, I'm looking at you. If your kid's writing a paper and you walk past them, hey, what are you writing about? What are your sources? Parents, you got to be part of this too. Now I'm going to go a step further. School leadership, both at the school and the district level. You need to teach your teachers how to teach research. And I do not care what subject, I do not care what grade. It does not matter. Because I'm sick and tired of getting this whole idea. Well, I teach 4th grade English. Why do my kids need to know how to research? Because those fucking kids are going to go to high school one day. Those kids are going to go to college, and colleges are reporting back in droves. These kids don't know how to research. They don't know where to find truth. It's a problem. It's a problem. Remember, the first 10 results, most likely, odds are they will not be primary sources. They will be modern interpretations, sanitized summaries, and opinion pieces that fit within the acceptable guardrails of whatever era it is you're searching, controversial event you're searching. If you do not already possess a foundational understanding of the topic or of research, how to research, you will not even realize you're being steered in the direction the machine wants you steered towards. You will accept the top result as the objective truth. That first result is often paid for. It's often paid for. You will accept the top result as the objective truth because you have no context to compare it against. You're effectively letting a software engineer in Northern California, where Google is hosted, dictate your understanding of the world. This is dangerous because it creates the death of context. Context is the environment in which a fact lives. Without context, facts can be used to prove almost anything. Now, some people are going to say a fact is a fact is a fact. Sure, I agree with you. But that fact is always within context. Where did this fact come from? Why did this become fact? Okay? The military understands this through the lens of, and I'm going to use the biggest oxymoron of all, military intelligence. However, we do not just want data on enemy movements. Data is just a blip on the screen. We want intelligence, quote unquote, which is data analyzed with the context of the terrain, the weather, the enemy's past behavior, and your own operational goals. And you can put this in the context of school. If you're a student and you're writing a paper on, let's say, the American Revolution, okay, that's your topic. Some of you are going to go to Google and type in, what is the American Revolution? You're going to get a whole litany of bullshit. Okay, some of it's going to be good. Some of it's going to be good. Okay, but you have to know how to filter through the bullshit and what's relevant. Okay. Now, the Revolutionary War is a complex topic. The Revolutionary War doesn't just happen, there's a series of events that lead to its happening. That's your context. Okay, well, why did we get to this shot heard around the world? What led us here? The just Google it fallacy strips away the intelligence and leaves you with just the blips on the screen. Okay? It encourages a type of horizontal learning. Okay, straight line, left to right, horizontal. Okay? Where you know a little bit about everything, but understand the depth of nothing. I'm going to say that again. The just Google it fallacy encourages a type of horizontal learning where you know a little bit about everything, but understand the depth of nothing. You can find a quote from a historical figure, but you do not know the letters they wrote before that quote or the consequences that followed it. You can find a statistic about the economy, but you do not understand the 20 years of fiscal policy that created it. This lack of depth makes you incredibly easy to manipulate. Politicians do it all the time. Tuesday, I'm recording this on Thursday. Tuesday was primary election season. Now we're leading into the general election in November. You're going to start seeing political ads. Listen to them. Watch them. What are they telling you? They're giving you blips. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Katie Hobbs and Biggs are going to be, those are the two candidates for governor here in Arizona. They're going to fix the economy by 2.2%. Blip. Blip. What is this 2.2%? How? Where did it come from? What is going to be done to accomplish it? What are the specifics? The lack of depth makes you incredibly easy to manipulate. Someone can throw a single isolated fact at you, and because you have no contextual framework to plug it into, you will accept it as universal truth. This is how the Roman mob was built. This is how the Soviet erase succeeded. This is how the AI mirage functions today. And I'm an AI guy. I think AI can be used for good. I think AI can be used in education to improve education for students, teachers, parents, and leadership. But we have to be ethical about it, and that's part of the problem. The educational failure. As a former instructional coach and teacher, I've seen this fallacy infect our schools. I've given some examples already. We've moved away from teaching the great narrative of history and science. Instead, we teach inquiry-based learning. Okay? And there are positives to inquiry-based learning. I'm a proponent of inquiry-based learning, but not the way it's done. Students are encouraged to research topics on their own from the get. This sounds noble. Oh, cool. You're giving them agency over their education. And I'm all for that, but there has to be guidelines, especially to research. We're giving 12-year-olds a smartphone and telling them to find their own truth without guidelines. Teachers, we have to be better. School districts, we have to be better. Curriculum creators, which are usually just teachers, have to be better. Build that into the framework. Most good teachers will do this, whether it's in your curriculum or not. The problem is, and I'll be frank about this, because don't worry, coming up here in a couple weeks, there's going to be a series of where, teachers, I'm coming after you. It's your turn. It's your turn. Okay? We have to be better. A 12-year-old does not have the base map required to vet a source. You have to constantly show them how to do this. They do not have the historical literacy to recognize bias. And teachers, stop showing your biases. Stop it. Teachers, when you show your biases, you are affecting your students more than you know. The kids that agree with you know they can get away with fucking murder in your class and write about whatever they want as long as it fits your narrative. The kids that don't agree with you or think they might not agree with you, you have now instilled fear in them and their learning is impacted because of it. So stop it. Stop it now. You are not in a position to express your biases to a group of students in a classroom. That is not your fucking job. If you don't like that, guess what? I don't care. Students are most likely clicking on the first 3 to 5 links and summarizing what they find, or plugging those 3 to 5 links into AI and telling AI to summarize it. This is not the student's fault. Oh, but they have to be responsible. Sure. Who has to teach them that responsibility? Parents and teachers. They're learning how to be efficient searchers, not deep thinkers. We're producing a generation of kids who are information rich but wisdom poor. They can navigate a screen with elite proficiency. Elite. But they cannot navigate a complex argument. They can find the what, but are completely lost on the why and the how. So rebuilding the internal map. How do we fix this? Okay. If we're going to survive the next decade, we have to stop Googling it, quote unquote, and start knowing it. Teachers, I'm looking at you again. And school leadership. We have to return to the hard, unfashionable work of building an internal knowledge base. We have to read the long books. We have to study the primary sources. We have to understand the systems and not just the symptoms. And students, this is on you too. You have to engage in this. This is what school is. This is what learning is. Prioritize primary sources. Before you read a summary, read the original document. If you're interested in a law, read the text of the law. If you're interested in a historical speech, read the full transcript, not just the highlight reel. Build the narrative. Do not accept isolated facts. Always ask, what happened 5 years before this? What happened 5 years after? Look for cause and effect. Value memory. Stop relying on the digital crutch. Memorize the timelines. Memorize the geography. The more information you possess internally, the less you have to rely on filtered results of an algorithm. I'm not saying you have to remember everything. That's completely unrealistic. But if you're working on a specific topic, learn what that topic is and remember key facts. Shouldn't have to re-Google those. Okay? Interrogate the oracle. Whenever you use a search engine or an AI, search engines are now just, I mean, definitely they have always been AI without the term, right? Because you ask them something and they spit out what they think you want. And now, when you Google something, you're probably going to get an AI summary of it. Guess what? You can respond to that. You can interrogate the AI. This is called AI prompting or AI mapping. This is where teachers, you have to be free of biases, because if your students start giving the AI the bias they think you want, then you're just going to have a bunch of parrots in your class and not learners. Ask yourself, why is this result on top? Who benefits from me believing this particular version of the truth? Interrogate the oracle. Access to information is a tactical advantage, but only if you have the intellectual armor to protect yourself from the lies. Information without context is not power, it's a distraction. It's a mirage, like we talked about a couple weeks ago. So here's a tactical summary. The trap. Knowing where to find an answer is not the same as understanding the subject. The filter. Search engines are corporate products with ideological guardrails, not neutral libraries. The fix. Build an internal base map through deep reading and the study of primary sources. The goal. Transition from being an information consumer to a contextual thinker. Stop clicking, start thinking, The truth is not at the top of the page, it's at the bottom of history. The data is everywhere. The wisdom is up to you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow both the YouTube and the Substack, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.